I want to go back to the singles.
Sure.
Because conversations, topics move forward. But
totally.
Yeah, with the singles. So what would you say your pricing level compares at? Would you consider like, oh, we're above market, we try to be, like roughly equal to TCG mid or whatever? How does that work?
Yeah, so typically how we do our stuff is for years we sort of pegged it to different things, like just going back ways. Star City used to be sort of like the peg price, and then Face, and then you sort of TCG. And what we've done over the years is we've instituted, pretty standard stuff for a store. An LGS is, minimums and stuff's like uncommon is like a minimum of, common's like a minimum of a quarter, and uncommon's 50 cents. The rare's like $2, mythic's like 3 to 5. And we found that was helpful for us, not only because it was something where, that's a level at which, it justifies opening inventory for. So you'll see some things online where it's like, cool, this card's a nickel, or this card's like, 10 cents, on a practical level to pay my guys, like, what we pay them, because we pay them well, that doesn't make sense. Like if you have like 100 card commander list that's nothing but, commons and uncommons, and TCGPlayer selling that list for like a grand total like $15. The hour it's going to take to pull that list is not worth it from a man hour perspective just to pull the list, let alone the processing it took to get all of those cards into the system. So while we are more expensive on some of the cheaper stuff, with the minimum, so like, a card's not going to be 5 cents, it's going to be 25 cents, and that has an additive effect of making your order more expensive. We generally tend to be cheaper on the higher end stuff. So how it balances out is if you're looking for value from us, I would say that typically our low end stuff tends to be a little more expensive on average, whereas our higher end stuff tends to be under market by like 10% or more for the most part. But yeah, so as far as that goes, it's we tend to find that the single side of it is something where it's always in flux, and all you can really sort of do is sort of say, this is what makes sense for our market. It's part of why we don't sell online. It allows us to sort of insulate our retail experience from sort of like bigger market forces. So for example,
I wanted to ask about that too.
Yeah. So for example, like, one of the benefits of just being a store that sells in person is that we have the ability to sort of set prices that reflect our market. So a lot of times what you'll see online is you'll see a card get spec'd on or bought out, and you'll see it jump to like ludicrous prices. So like a good example is like Sliver Hive. It's a basic rare from M15. Prior to Spike, it was like a $3 to $5 card. At the height of the spike, I think it was like $20, $30. But it's something where like that level of demand or that price point isn't backed up by the organic, demand that we have from our clients. So it's something where like I could ratchet it up to $20 to be in line with the market, but that doesn't feel good to my clients. It's something where like they go, well, why, this card is like, there's no clients say, I perceive this card as like a $5 to $10 card. At $30, I'm not interested, because like that's like more than what I want to pay for a land that taps for any color and makes a sliver, right? Like, that's it's outside of what they would want to spend on that sort of as a card effect. And it's something where being able to be in touch with these games, be able to kind of pick price points, makes it so that you have a better understanding of saying, okay, card like Children, came out, it was like $50. It's up to around like 100 and change right now, and when it came out and seeing the play, go, okay, well, it is clearly $100 card, until it gets a reprint somewhere along the line, card's $100 because it's just absolutely bonkers. You play it in constructed formats, you play it in casual formats, it is just a really good effect. And the challenge, so the challenge with pricing is it always needs to be reflective of, in our case, our local market. So we'll have some things that are a little higher than average, and we'll have some things that are lower than average. And if you really want to find good deals, you totally can. But it's something where, we price it based on our market demand that we see for it. So some things are higher, some things are lower, and an average, it balances out a fair bit.
And that comes from ear to the ground, paying attention.
Yeah. And also part of it is like we open a lot of product. So we have a fair bit of leverage when it comes to our price point. So when a new set comes out, we'll open somewhere in the neighborhood of like 2,000 packs, give or take, depending on the set. So that means that when a new set launches, we have, play sets upon play sets of like everything. So we can sort of put out and say, okay, well, I have 62 of this rare. It's like, all right, it's like, if it's a $5 rare and it jumps up to like someone online thinks it's like $20, we'll see what the organic sell through is on our end, and sort of adjust it accordingly. It's something where, if you're using something like, Binder POS, where it has
Yeah.
like automatic updates and pricing, that's really helpful if you, don't want to, either you don't want to keep up on sort of day-to-day market fluctuations, and want to have it automated, or you're not super familiar with singles, but you feel that you should sell them anyway, and you don't want to get sharked by someone of sort of saying, it's a good way to do it. I tend to find that in my experience that while cards move in price points, most of the really big jumps are easy enough to see if you're sort of like, in those ecosystems. So if you're on like, the like, yeah, so I'm not a really huge online person, but I keep, sort of, limited accounts on like stuff like, MTG Finance, or like, with like some of the stock movement stuff for it. Mainly because like, usually if someone's coming to you to buy out a card, it's not because they figured it out themselves. It's because they saw like an MTG stocks report where it's like, this card went up 70%. And it's like, all right, well, I also got the email notification. This article went live, looked at it, said, yeah, that increase is bullshit, but these ones seem pretty real. So like, we'll adjust a little bit here and there, but like, if you're doing that sort of stuff, you're going to catch most of that movement. And when you get out of the pricing mindset of saying, I need to be exactly like TCGPlayer, I need to be exactly this price point, a lot of stuff doesn't fluctuate all that much. So like, if you say a rare is a minimum of $2, most of them are in around that price point. Sometimes it's $2.25, sometimes it's $1.75, sometimes it's 90 cents. Like, it's all stuff where it fluctuates and moves, but in terms of having to go reprice it and adjust it, you can just put $2 on it and say, cool, if it gets up to $3 and I sell it entirely, I'll reprice it to $3. But if not, whatever. If you got it for $2.50, it's $2.50, or you got it for $4 and you got it for $2, and I still have a bunch of them. Oh well, it's just it's a matter of having it kind of all balance out. So if you can do a lot of legwork running around trying to like do micro fixes and stuff, or you can just say, neat, I'll adjust it as needed.
Yeah, here's enough of a pricing buffer, and there's enough margin built into everything else that fluctuations
it's part of why we do mythics at $5. So if, for a mythic to go from sort of like a bulk mythic to like more than that $5 range takes a lot, and something needs to come out to push it. So like either like a new deck or new card interaction that moves its sort of perceived value. Whereas having it in that filter range goes, okay, well, it went from $3 to $6. Okay, cool. Like it means that but the value of just having it nearby in immediacy is a big benefit.
How much do you feel like this is you? How much of the deck box is you?
Oh, when we first started out, a good chunk of it was me and Rachel. Now it's a little less. It's grown bigger than we are. Like I said, we have around 100 plus transactions in an average day. So like, it can't be me anymore. Like it's I am a part of it. I am sort of around a lot, but it's also something where I want our clients to have interactions with our staff that are their own interactions. So we have people who will come in on days that they know staff are working, because they like them and they want to like socialize and like check in with their stuff, and that's something where I've always encouraged that, because I want I want the business to be more than just me. I want to be able to operate in my absence. Because when we did going back a little bit, so when we did our store in Summerside and we did our expansion here, I realized that I'd made a mistake a bit in Summerside, in that when we had opened up here, Rachel stayed behind to run the store there, and I moved to Halifax to run the store here. And we found out that through feedback she got from clients, is that I'm saying, well, Josh isn't here anymore, and we'd really like to have a game store here, but we don't think because you're not Josh, we're just not going to come around as much, because I hadn't built up someone to be a replacement me. That I had run the business as a way of being like, if you wanted anything at all, you talk to me, and now if you want anything, the staff are there for you, and I'm around. I'm there to say hi. I engage with people. I do kind of all the stuff I love to do, but by and large, when I can, I will direct you to one of our staff for it. Mainly because I want them to feel like, I don't want to be that game store where someone goes in, well, I need to talk to just Josh. He's the only one who can help me. It's like, no, all of these people are very talented and very wonderful people that we've hired. I don't hire assholes.
Hope not.
Not intentionally. And it's one of those things where it's like the experience for it is such that I want the staff to feel like they're being elevated. That if they make a decision or make a recommendation, that, that someone's not second guessing them, behind it, saying, okay, well, you should have done this. It's like, it's they've got an opinion, they've got, a thing they want to communicate. And that's, something I'm happy to support. So I'd say yes, in the beginning, it was definitely, very much a two-person show. And as we've grown, we've moved away from that a fair bit. So, I'm still very active in our day-to-day operations. I'm around a lot because I like my job.
Sure.
But, it's something where, just even now, like, we have 5 full-time staff members outside myself and Rachel. We have sort of, a couple of support, staff as well too, who do like behind the scenes stuff for like content creation and product processing and that sort of stuff. But it's something where this store doesn't run with anything less than sort of like 5 people kind of working at it full time, because there's too many communities to help, and there's too many things to kind of manage. It's something where like if I really delude myself, I could probably say, well, me and Rachel could probably run it ourselves for a bit, but like that's not sustainable.
Yeah, and like a lot of stores start out that way, right? Like that's pretty much like
totally.
Almost a universal experience is that the store and the person running the store, owning the store, are the same thing.
Oh yeah, it's very entwined, and I would say that in my mind, that's a good way to start out, because no one will be as into the process of making your store better, if that's what you want to do, as you will be. So like and some of the times that I've seen friction with staff and store owners is that your staff not being as dedicated as a store owner would like them to be, which is an unreasonable bar, right? I
don't own the store.
I make it very clear to my staff, saying, look, you work here. I love having you here. I would highly encourage you that if you are going to work for us, make a firm stance on your personal side of it. That if you're not on the clock, you're not answering someone's questions. If you have a relationship with them and want to talk stuff, totally do it. But if you are like they're messaging going, hey, what would this trade in for? Hey, do you have this in stock? And hey, when's this event? Don't answer those conversations. I don't expect that of you. I don't want you to have to worry about that. Just do your stuff. You show up, you work, your shift, you go home at the end of the day. That's it. There's no sort of I don't expect, anything more than you than that. I expect you to show up, be friendly, do your job, engage with people. If it's a shitty sales day, that's not on you. I'm not going to, get upset about if we made under.
You didn't hit your quota.
Yeah, there's none of that. It's very much the only thing I ask is if we're dead for whatever reason, that we tidied some stuff. Like if I come in and the sales are lower than I would have hoped for the day, if you can point to and say, well, we did a couple of big buys and trade-ins, we restocked the sleeve wall, cool, that's good. Not every day is going to be gangbusters, not every day is going to be setting the world on fire, and you need some amount of days like that to just reset.
Yeah, get some cleaning done.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, that's definitely always a process.
Yeah, well, that never ends. Life is a never-ending struggle against entropy.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair.
How autonomous would you say your employees are? How much leeway do you give them to be offer this much in trade-in value?
Sure.
How do you deal with all of that?
So this will get a little to the back end side of it. But so as far as we do for autonomy is that my staff are empowered to sort of, make the decisions that they think are correct in terms of client servicing a client. So it's something, if someone comes in and, they're asking for a little extra, a little more, it's on the staff to sort of figure out if that's something that they, that they make an exception for. So something someone comes in and goes, hey man, I'm out of top loaders. You have a couple I can borrow? Sure. You can have a couple top loaders, not a big deal. Hey man, I came back in last week and asked about top loaders. Can I have some more? All right, well, here's a pack of 25 of them. They're $5. It's that level of nuance, and it's something where, as far as our staff goes, the back end system for pricing is set by me. They have the ability to adjust them, and they'll do it within reason. So basically, if you come to them and say, hey, this, I've got this list of cards, all this looks fine. This one card on there seems a little off. Can you check it for me? They're empowered to do that and make an adjustment. If it's that you're looking okay, well, I'm fine with these 3 cards because they're under what I expected them to be, and these 7 cards, can you check them for me? The answer is probably not. It's something where it's it's that reciprocity back and forth, and that's something that we train for our staff. And it's something where I would say that the buying side of it is also automated in the same way. So we talked a little off camera about Lightspeed, as we use for our point of sale, and it allows you to set kind of your own prices on your inventory back there. It's not meant for card games, but we use it for our store, and it's pretty effective. So basically, all of our buy stuff, it's pretty straightforward. So anyone can process a buy on our end that you bring in your cards, we put them into our system line by line. We'll give you an itemized breakdown for each one and say, cool, this is worth this much in cash, and we do a 40% bonus on top of it to get that 70% in trade rate. But it's something like with that, there's an ability to sort of say, oh, cool, we're out of stock of this. It says that this card is $10 in our system. We're giving $5 on it, but we're out of it. Let's do a price check to see, oh, card's gone up to $20. Yeah, we'll move that up to $10 for the buy price, and you move it to $20 for the sell. So there's that level of autonomy that they do have for it, and it's something where we have gradations of that, especially when it comes to buys. So the first thing we train you on is for processing buys through, and once you get comfortable with that, price adjustments are generally something where I get final say on it. But by and large, if it's something minor, it's something like that, where it's a $10 card went to a $20 card, my staff aren't going to check in with me on that. But if
is there other thresholds for where the person's like, yep,
usually
it's $50 or more, now it's
usually
by the boss.
Usually for a buy, so the nice part is because it's all digital, is that I can check our inventory from wherever I'm at. So
cool.
When there's a buy on it, basically they'll send me a text and say, hey, purchase order number whatever, needs your approval because it's a little on the high side, and generally the threshold is if we're doing more than $150 in cash on it, depending on how busy I am, if I'm away at a tournament, I'll say, cool, the threshold is, if it's under $500, don't bug me about it. I don't want to know. If it checks out and you think it looks fine, we'll send the transfer and, we'll call it a day. But if I'm just kind of around, $200 or something, just run it by me for the most part, which is something where we do regular trade-ins, and we'll get a $500 trade-in plus once every couple of days, if not more than that, depending on where it's at.
Okay.
But it's something where if the vast majority of buys will trade-ins will be sub $100, kind of something like that. I generally won't look at those, and we have a review process where basically they'll do the buy, the client will get paid, and then there's a step where I go in afterwards and do a review. It's okay, cool, we did this buy, conditions were in line with what we had expected for it, or this was slightly wrong, or this was a little more warm than I would give, and I'll give notes to my guys and say, hey, you bought this, it was a different version of the thing, the price point is within reason, and we'll contact the seller if it's a little off, and we'll just send them the extra credit. If it's off in the seller's favor, we generally don't. We just let it go. But it's something where I use that as a learning tool for the staff. It's saying, hey, man, you saw this thing, and I get why you thought that it was this set, but this little planeswalker symbol in the corner means it was the reprint, so it's worth half of what the actual one is. But it's that sort of stuff where it's the buying process. They have a bit of autonomy, and the counter interaction stuff, they have a bit more. But it's something where it's a matter of empowering your staff to make good decisions in the moment, so they're not always having to run back to you to check in. So I am around and I'm there if they need something, or if they need me to step in because something needs to be decided. It's a little more if someone's looking at dual lands and going, okay, well I want to spend $500 on this card. It's can you make me feel good about the purchase? Cool, we'll walk through it. This is the notable things. This is why we have it marked here. Yeah, you're right. There's one online for 600, but the scratch here and this little discoloration, we moved it down to the 500 range. Yeah. So it's not near mint, but it's not stickered as that. But that's the sort of the fine detailing stuff where it's having that experience makes someone feel better about that experience, that process. That they okay, I know what I'm looking at. I know this guy knows what he's talking about, and the thing is priced appropriately. It's or if it's beat to shit, it's cool, this one's $250. Why? Because someone loved it with a hammer. That's just that's just how it goes. Not every card gets to be pretty.
Yeah, and I want to zoom out for a second, but also the fact is, a $500 purchase is not a small purchase for most people. That's a pretty big transaction, right? To expect that the guy would be yeah, here you go, here's my money. I don't need to talk about this. I don't need to interact with anyone. Yeah. You would need to do a little bit of hand selling for
a little bit
items
of that.
Along those
I find
lines.
that usually for people in that range, they generally know what they're looking for, and that's going back to that sort of that client experience of generally speaking, it's not an unsolicited buy of something in that range that comes to the door. Generally speaking, when it happens, it's someone that you're okay, yeah, this guy's been talking about it, or I know that he's the kind of guy who when he spends, he just doesn't buy a lot of little stuff, but he's going to buy like a couple bigger ticket things in a go. Or I know that he's Navy, so that means that he was out to sea for 6 months. He come back with sail
Lots
pay,
of cash.
and this is the he's been thinking about this the entire time about how he's going to get the last couple duels to finish off his commander deck, and that's like how he put up with all like the shit at work that he dealt with, and that's the and so like again, it's one of those ones like you generally don't get unsolicited sales like that, but when you do get that sale, you want to connect with the person because you know why he's spending like this. Like, oh man, like you're finally pulling the trigger to get like your scrub land to finish off your deck. Awesome. How was the sale? Like, did you where now that you're back, where did you go? Right? Like, you can't tell me beforehand, but like stuff like that, or like someone will come in excited because they got like a bonus at work or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's something where that client experience is a big part of it's a bigger sale, yeah, but it's also something where someone generally wants to talk about it, and you want to make
excited about it.
Yeah, and you want to make them and you want to make them have a good experience and not just have it be a transaction because because they come in, know what they want, they've been thinking about it for a while when they're buying something in that range, and it's something where they go, well, if it's just a transactional experience, it can feel a little deflating, right? Like, I bought this thing, it was really cool, I'm super hyped about it, and you just rang me through and passed my stuff and it's on my way.
There's no fanfare, there's nothing like that.
Yeah, you want to feel a bit special, right? It's like any sort of niche retail. You want to make someone feel that they had a good experience and not only got the thing they wanted, but they got it in the way that they wanted it. That they felt, that it felt good.
It's funny. We should give some context because like so much of what we talked about before hitting the record button, I feel like it just kind of like became the background to this conversation. So like, but the listeners, they have no idea. So what is a normal day like at the deck bar? Like give them an idea of what the store feels like, how many people are coming in and out. Like you mentioned the number of transactions.
Oh, sure. So we're a relatively large store. So we have 4,000 square feet ish. 1,200 of that is the space we're sitting in right now, which is our basically our private booking / recording studio. So we use it for birthday parties and all that sort of stuff. It's
super
really
cool.
It's a gaming speakeasy, so we have like a front facing bookcase that moves. It's a whole thing. And then
it's called the Rules Lawyer.
It's called the Rules Lawyer. It's our fake front.
Great name.
So we have this spot, but our day-to-day operations is next door, and our day-to-day operations is about 2,800 square feet, 2,700 square feet. And that is a large open space. Basically, we have it divided between one part is our retail operation, which basically has like a circular ring where all of our display cases are, and the staff are behind the counters, and there's sort of just product along the walls. So we carry everything from full range of Warhammer, D&D, all the supplemental RPGs you've never heard of, a whole bunch of video games, new and used. We do Pokemon, we do Magic. We have a binder for every Magic set released. We have a binder for most of the Pokemon sets, kind of before like jumping from black and white base all the way up to present day, and then a little bit for the older stuff. We're rebuilding our single selection for the older stuff just because like during the pandemic that stuff just went. But yeah, we basically have browsable binders for every set and that there's out there. We have, you didn't see it, but we have foil bins sort of by price point and by color. So if you want to go really baller, we have a bin that starts at $30 plus. That's full of, they're in a penny sleeve, they're in a perfect fit with a label on the price inside of a top loader. So basically you can browse through for what you're looking for the higher end stuff, or we just have boxes that are sub $30 where they're same thing, perfect fit, label on so you know what you're looking at. Everything in our store is priced because I hate not having stickers on stuff. So like if you see it and it's a ridiculous price, it's the price is labeled. If it's too high, let me know and I'll take a look at it and we'll adjust it. But yeah, as far as like our day-to-day ops stuff, we run 7 days a week from 12 to 10. We have events in the evening, every evening starting at 6:30. Generally speaking, our events are anywhere. A quiet event for us will be about 20-ish players, be kind of on the quieter side. Our busiest ones would be like 60 plus. So we had a Friday night was our casual commander, and that was 65 players, which isn't outside the norm. That's usually like 55, 60. And as far as that goes, we are a very busy store. So if you walk in and there are less than 6 people in shopping, it's probably a quiet day. Like, that's, having a dozen plus people and just kind of actively, engaged is not unusual. Mm-hmm. And on to like launch weekends, it gets wild.
I imagine.
But yeah, so we typically, far as store owners go, we have about 100. Our average day is about 120 transactions. Some days will be lower, and on like release days, we'll have like 200 plus transactions. It gets busy.
Yes, yes, and I want to hopefully like add in
Yes.
some.
Sorry, I should add because I always forget this part because I'm used to it. We have a very distinctive artistic style that
Yes,
it's very colorful. It's very bright. It's very graffiti inspired, which is basically a whole bunch of characters. If you haven't seen it in person, I definitely recommend it. There's pictures of it online on our socials, but yeah, no, it's real fun. Some of my favorite parts of it.
yeah, I'm hoping to splice some stuff in to the video
Oh,
so
sure.
that people can see like what this looks like and
No,
get a
there's some
sense
cool
of
ones.
what the shop is like.
Yeah,
That's one of the advantages of actually doing this in person because I
yeah,
can actually see it with
yeah.
my own two
Yeah,
eyes.
we're a very cool aesthetically looking store. We go for sort of you know an approachable niche sort of thing. So like we're a little different than some of the stores that you'll see out there from more like traditional game stores. Everything's labeled, everything's sort of in a nice like orderly spot. Everything's divided by sections. So if you're looking for something, you know all of your Age of Sigmar products is in one section, and all that is like done by factions. So it starts with Blades of Corn and the Bees, and goes to the Estus of Silinesh. Like it's if you've never been in before and just sort of see a wall, you'll be able to figure out what you're looking at. And if you can't find something, we're here to help you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's good context, like so people can understand what does the store feel like. How large are we talking compared to other maybe some smaller local stores who hopefully listen to this podcast and pick up a few things.
We are a big store in terms of like your average size store.
Mm-hmm.
We're not like a huge massive store, so you'll see a lot of stores in sort of like the Midwest or where they're like just like huge amounts of space. We don't sort of go that model, but we prioritize play. So we have a player that seats 60 plus people on a regular basis. Very nice sturdy wood tables, some nice chairs, and sort of like aesthetics kind of built into all of it. So if you're playing there, you will know you're playing there versus playing somewhere else.
During the tour,
Yeah.
you mentioned the TVs that you have set up at
Yeah.
every table, the advertisements, like the screen running through all the events.
Yeah, we
and
have a
everything like
cycle
that.
of rather than have so like we have a static calendar in like two places or sort of advertise. So it like tells people kind of what to expect for all of the weekly and monthly stuff we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have like regular sort of like the TVs of user just to kind of say, hey, this set's coming out. You want to know when the new Arcana pre-release is? It's on the screen, date, time, all the general details, and there's like a QR code link you can scan to go buy a ticket or find out more about kind of a weekly event or what have you. So it's very much designed that if you are kind of curious about something, you'll be just sort of passively exposed to it and go, oh, cool. Like I didn't know there was a Masters draft coming up, next Monday. Like I'll show up for that. That sounds cool. Like it's to help people kind of like be more, engaged in the community because given the level of business we go, it's not always possible to sort of tell every single soul that walks in all of the things they could possibly do because it's a lot.
Yeah, especially since you've got every single day of the week and there's always something going on.
I think that we have at least one event every day of the week, and some events are two or three depending on the day that's going on. So it keeps busy.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, but like the branding is everywhere. That's one of the things that I really like about your store, and I think it's also one of the reasons why I'm guessing a lot of your clients really like the store is that it feels like you said it's a destination, right? It feels like you're going somewhere and you're in a place and you're immersed in things that you like, right? The things that you enjoy.
Yeah, it's hard to walk into
with
this and not be excited about something, and it's one of those things like it's something where if you walk into our space, part of the training that we do for staff is that you get greeted. Someone says hi to you, and it's something as simple as like, hey man, what's up? Like if I know you, or if it's like hey, like what's going on? Anything I can do for you? It's very much we're not there to like be over someone's shoulder, but we want to let them know that they were acknowledged when they came in. Someone was friendly to them. They know that we want you to be here. If you don't need anything from me, if you just want to browse, totally cool. I'm here. So usually our answer is like it's like, hey, how's it going? Good. Like anything you're looking for? No, man, just browsing. Okay, cool. I'm over here if you need me. Just give me a shout. Like I'm around. Like it's something where you want to make people feel comfortable, and some people come and go, yeah, I totally had questions about this deck or this thing.
Yeah,
awesome, man. Let's talk. Like let's engage. But no, it's definitely a very specific atmosphere that we curate. We have a lot of structure. We have a lot of sort of like organization that occurs both for the client and behind the scenes. But we never want to lose that sort of like in-person experience where it's like,
Yeah.
we're not just a warehouse of cool stuff. It's like this, we want to have, that you feel comfortable when you're here and not just like you're like, oh, well, I need, milk and I need eggs and I need this thing. It's like, it's not that kind of shopping experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Despite the depth and the fact that you do have like a lot of inventory, you still have that in-person
Yeah.
relationship with people. You still have that experience where somebody comes in and they feel like they are, it's like the Cheers trope, right? Like, hey, somebody actually knows who you are. They know you by name.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big value. And like, I think that's one of the reasons why you've done so well. Like, you've got to the 10-year mark, which is quite the milestone.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where like building up that client experience is kind of how we got to where we are today. And it's something where you like, for as much as people get excited about this field, it is retail, and retail, you're only as good as your of the next sales day you got. So like it's, it's not really a field where you can say, well, I made some really good code and I'm going to like sit back on that and just like let it run. It's like, nope, you did really good today. You got to get up tomorrow and do the same thing again. Like, it's just, it's a process, and it's something that either you love that part of it or it just, you hate it. And, I like that part of it. So
yeah. And
it works for me.
And I like the way that you've positioned it in the sense that you do the thing that you like because you like it.
Yeah.
There's purpose and fulfillment alongside, the actual, like the business transactional money, revenue, life
Totally.
fulfillment. It's all tied in together.
Oh yeah. When we had COVID, one of the things that we did was, that was a weird transition for us because we were very much an in-person experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge with COVID was that, we were in Nova Scotia, we were forced closed for a period of time. And that was one of the suckiest parts for me, is that we were still open because we were doing some curbside delivery when that was possible and what have you. But there was a day where I was like in there, I was like, I was pulling lists for people and like realized that I missed the feedback of it and seeing people's names on orders who I'm like, I know this guy, I love talking with him when he comes in. And now I've just got to like pull a list for him, hand him to a car window and not touch him and not talk to him. And like, I it was something where I looked at my staff and like, cool, you guys can do this. I'm going home. Like, and when this is done, I will be back in, but like, I can't not have the social interaction part of it. I can't not talk to our clients because that's the part I really like, so like pulling cards into a vacuum, just like, all right, well, I'll pull this list of 20 cards and I'll pull this next list. I just like, I will do that in store all day long and love it. I absolutely hate it. Like just pulling it to a list and not ever seeing the person. It drives me nuts.
Which I guess